We're starting! Yay! Hello, Sarah. You need to get in closer. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Shirley, and this is
Nadieh.
And Sarah.
And this is episode, I think, 11 of ShirleyChats, for which I'm really, really excited because look at them, so beautiful. I don't know why I'm in the middle. But also, I'm going to turn this around, and we have our beautiful moderator, Shumei. And then because and Shumei helped us book this beautiful Airbnb for that I'm not going to try and show because that's a lot of movement. But this is all in preparation for D3 on Conf tomorrow morning. And then because we're not quite sure about the Wi-Fi of this place, Shumei is going to tell us if any questions come in, if we go down, everything. So if you hear a voice and neither of us are, or none of us are talking, that'd be Shumei. And then please ask us questions because I have promised both Sarah and Nadieh that until we get questions, we are just going to talk about whatever the hell we want. And that may or may not be to anybody's benefit. And in preparation, we went down to the corner store and got ourselves some libations. Cheers. 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 And so I'm drinking wine out of a beer glass, and Sarah is drinking wine out of a wine glass, and then Nadieh is drinking sake out of a mug. I just realized we actually have wine.
I was looking for them in the kitchen.
Oh, I think those are actual
wine glasses.
Let's see.
Next glass.
Good point. Yeah. So then after this, we're going to go eat sushi. We made a sushi reservation.
What was the reservation you made?
Huh?
I didn't know it was reserved. Nice.
Yeah, I hate waiting. So I'm very impatient. Yeah. Okay, actually, I think I should stop talking and let Sarah and Nadieh talk unless there's a question. Or anybody saying hi? Is there anybody saying hi? Hi? Nobody? Okay. Oh, so sad. Okay. Well, we heard from Nadieh a lot on Sunday in our previous one, but Sarah just got in yesterday into San Francisco, and I'm really excited to see you because I don't think I've seen you since February. No,
That was really long.
I feel like I've seen you.
No, we've seen each other more recently.
No, at a conference.
Tony Chu. Hi, Tony.
React conference.
Talk to you enough I don't remember.
We message each other enough online. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, just came in from Portland from a web animation workshop.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Do you want to talk about web animation workshop?
Yeah, sure. I run web animation workshops with Valhead, and we go around the country and now the world because we just did one in Paris. And teach people about different ways to animate on the web, including React and including, all sorts of SVG stuff and CSS stuff and some theory and stuff.
So if you have money or if your company has money and if you have time and if you're near one of Sarah and Val's workshops, super seriously worth every single penny I paid.
Oh yeah, Shirley was one of our students in one of those workshops.
I like to call it the best professional investment I've made in the last year. And this is, and I was pretty broke in the last year going freelance. so this is how good it is.
Even better.
And I've been telling Nadieh, I'm like, Nadieh, you need to.
Yeah, you convinced me to come to the Paris one, except then I had a conference during the Paris one.
Yeah, Nadieh and I are always giving workshops at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
We go to one of Nadieh's workshops.
Yes.
Nadieh does data visualization, kind of, we plan them out and design them and stuff. Yeah. I always come into our workshops at the end and there's like all this beautiful stuff on the walls.
It's very hands-on, yeah. When people first get in and with like data visualization and they see all of the felt pens and the paper, they're like, what? Yes, we're gonna draw all day. No laptops needed.
Oh, and feel free to interrupt us at any time, Shumei.
We're good.
Okay, this is the first time I've had a moderator sitting in the same room as me. I feel so professional right now. Like
It's getting big now.
I know we're upgrading,
Growing.
and I hope the sound is okay because we're a little bit further away from it. Yeah, I don't know. I have no plans on what to ask either of you guys. Tell me about.
Planning a new round of web animation workshops.
Not really, because we both have other jobs. So,
Mm.
so yeah, no big plans for the future. She just took a job at Adobe, and I just took a job at Microsoft as a developer advocate over there.
And then you got to go to Disney World, but you didn't get to ride any rides, which made me very sad.
Yeah,
So
that's
sad.
true. That's true. We had a company meeting in Orlando, which is cool because a lot of people that I work with live in Orlando. But unfortunately, I had to leave to go to another conference.
Of
so
course.
I had
That's
to-
so
That's so
sad.
I left before getting to go on any rides.
That's not a possibility,
Yeah,
going
it
to
is.
Orlando and not seeing Disney.
We went through Disney World, but I just got to see the we had like a relay race kind of thing. That was cool.
Nice.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, you guys are like, I don't even know. By last count, I think Nadieh told me by last count you have 47 workshops or something like that. I mean conferences. Sorry, conferences.
Yep. Yeah. 47 conferences.
Wow, I actually remember that number correctly.
That's pretty good. I forget it sometimes.
So this year your brain is coping with the fact that you are 47.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to do less next year. For
Really?
sure.
Are you sure? Wait, isn't your job now to travel to conferences?
Yeah, but I mean, 47 is a little high. I think the person on my team who's speaking the most is speaking at 12 this year. So they're okay with me taking it down a notch.
Yes.
Not burning out.
I'm not sure how logistically 47 works actually.
Well, it's a little crazy. It's a little nuts. Also, it would be nice to have more time to get to make open source work. And stuff.
Oh yeah, what are your plans now that you're at Microsoft and you get to do what you really like, which is make the things that you like and the tutorials and all of that?
I'm in the middle of making something right now that uses this like old Google Chrome experiment that's like a visualization of a globe in 3D that you can kind of pan around. Shows all of the speaking engagements that my team is doing in Spain with Next and Vue, and then serverless
Someone asked,
technologies.
with all your conferences, how do you get anything else done?
Oh, actually, we want to ask that too.
I could actually ask the same of these two too.
We're nowhere near your level.
Yeah. I'm like, I did 3 recently or something, and I'm like, got no work done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. I try to like build in time when I'm home to just sit and work and stuff. I also work on the plane on existing projects and things. Try to work in my hotel room sometimes, but yeah, it's definitely like a balance and a challenge. So that's part of the reason why I want to speak a little bit less next year, because I want to be able to make more stuff too. I also block out time in the winter from November 1st to like middle of February. I'm not going to any conferences.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
Same question to you, Nadieh?
How to get work done?
Yeah. You are one of the most productive people I know.
Yeah.
Come in closer.
So I always tell people I have no personal life outside of my personal projects. So I don't go out to dinner or movies. I do watch movies at home on the couch.
Oh, have you watched Wonder Woman yet?
Yes, it is.
Yes!
Yes,
I still haven't seen it yet.
Really?
Yeah. Is it out now?
Yeah. I had it pre-bought. Let me tell you, to set the expectations appropriately low. I think plot is shit.
Really?
And there was like a twist that like my friend and I saw like coming a million mile away.
I didn't see it. No.
And we'll talk about it later because I don't think people
I
like
didn't see
spoilers. But the redeeming factor, Gal Gadot is so.
That could be on my celebrity crushes thing that we were talking about.
Yes, right.
Oh,
Yeah, she
yeah.
would be on there, definitely. the
Oh
line.
yeah. We so Nadieh let me stay. Did I tell you this? Yeah, I did. Nadieh let me stay at her in her hotel during the Reasons 2 conference at the beginning of this month, and what I was gonna say is she wouldn't watch. Like I was like, Nadieh, Wonder Woman just came out. Do you want to watch it with me? Because Gal Gadot, and she's like, no.
No, and
it kept on working.
No, it was like, oh, it's my boyfriend. I would watch
I know.
it with you. And it was a screen that big, and I felt like that was not the proper size to watch Gal Gadot.
Oh wait, you watched it on? You could have watched it on my laptop.
I mean, your laptop is his. Our TV at home is that.
Yeah, but definitely. Oh, and then we for some reason by the second night we were talking about the crushes we had as teenagers, and then
Is that inspired by the fondue conversation?
I don't know. I think maybe it's just what I default to or something.
And wait, were you the one who brought it up during the fondue conversation?
No, wait. That was
Montero, right? No.
It was Montera, but it went to the crushes, and I do. It was fun though. Trying to remember everything at the same time.
That's always a vote of confidence.
I really, it was really fun. I
liked hanging out with you.
I think. I'm trying to remember if I did anything stupid.
That was a great night.
No, it was really fun.
Well, I wasn't there, but I can tell that it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, I don't know why we started. I think maybe I asked you how you met your boyfriend, and then we started exchanging stories about each other's boyfriends, and then somehow that became the crushes we had as kids, and then that became celebrity crushes, and definitely Gal Gadot is my new celebrity crush.
We are sort of on a tangent now.
Yeah, well, nobody's interrupting us, are they?
They were talking about joining you as being a fangirl with Gal Gadot.
Oh yeah.
That's legit.
Yes, she is amazing. She is beautiful. Watch Wonder Woman for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris Pine, but mostly Gal Gadot.
Mostly Gal.
Yeah. Oh god. I was in Israel recently in Tel Aviv, and I was I had this secret fantasy that maybe I'll see her on the street, just secret fantasy.
Was that from there? For
Yeah.
Next?
Yeah. She apparently, because I read up on her afterwards, because that's how obsessions work for me, where if I like someone, then I really stalk them. And then it said that she and her husband used to own a hotel in Tel Aviv or something, and I'm like,
You just check into every hotel.
I think it said that they sold it or something, but I'm like, oh, but she's from there, so yeah, maybe, yeah. Is there a comment?
Yes, a hotel room in Ho Chi Minh.
And Ho Chi Minh, what?
From H.J. Chen.
What?
From H.J. Chen? I don't know.
Oh, it's HJ from Singapore. From Jis.
Oh,
Hi. Oh, I'm so
Oh,
glad
you can't see my hand
Yeah,
waving.
no, you have to get closer.
Backwards.
Yeah.
I'm waving with this hand.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if you guys don't ask us any questions about SVG, about animation, about Dataviz, we're gonna keep talking about celebrities and crushes and
Any celebrities that you actually saw on the street?
Oh, never.
I was actually just thinking about how Nadieh's celebrity crushes are exactly like her boyfriend all the time.
Yeah, blue eyes.
Oh yeah.
I have a thing for blue eyes and blondish hair. It seems to be sort of ingrained into what I like.
Sometimes I think that's nature trying to balance itself out. You know,
Yes.
the guys who want to date me are always really tall, and I think it's nature's trying to maybe find a
the
middle
next
ground. It's
generation will be like,
oh,
"Hi,
you're too
Mr.
short, he's too tall, you guys should get together.
I've never thought about that. Is he really tall?
I mean, he's fairly tall.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
he's
okay.
6'2".
Okay. Never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I think before Gal Gadot, it was I had a big thing for Mila Kunis. Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mila Kunis is
Same.
really beautiful.
Oh, she is. Yeah.
She's
She's
great.
cool. I
gorgeous.
didn't have a thing for her though. She wasn't my
Here's a question.
Oh yes.
We're not going to talk about
Have
Mila
all of
Kunis.
you submitted for jsconf.asia?
Yeah. Well. Okay. Hold on.
No.
Because H.G. Chen said he'd love to meet you guys there again.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything because it's not.
You're not giving away anything now.
Yeah.
Okay, I can move to next question.
So HJ, if you ask your organizer, he could tell you the news that I'm not really allowed to say publicly.
That she's just alluding to a lot.
Okay.
There's big news about this thing, but
I didn't say anything.
Okay, next question. Tony wants to hear more about Sarah uses CSS animations versus animations in JS.
I think actually I'm probably not the person to ask about this because I'm pretty biased towards JS. If you look at, I think people think I work with CSS. I have no idea why.
You do have a section in your workshop.
We do. Val teaches that
Oh,
section.
okay.
I can animate with CSS. It's not my preference. I like working with JS a lot better for a number of reasons. Some of the animation libraries that I use correct for cross-browser inconsistencies with the spec. Like Greensock helps with that with SVG. I also like animating the unanimatable. CSS offers you some things that you can animate. And they're animatable properties, but with JavaScript you don't have those restrictions, so you can animate things like SVG filters, and you can do things like animate the view box, and do some kind of crazier techniques. And I'm kind of all about pushing the weirder stuff.
Should we show some of your stuff? Because it's but
no, okay, it's fine.
Well, because when I first saw your talk last year, I was like, I want to be friends with her. I have this bad habit of not really following people. I think not really following people's work until I've seen their talks, because then talks are a really good kind of primer on what they do and stuff. So I'm very guilty of if somebody hasn't done a talk, then I haven't really looked at their stuff. And so we knew each other before, and then we had been talking about wanting to meet up, and then but then the first time I saw your talk, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so brilliant. So so I'm gonna go to your code pen. Is there a question?
It's a different one. They wanted to know if you've seen.
It's S-Drasner.
Oh, okay. If we've seen?
No,
A
S-Drasner.
JavaScript library, but I'll pull it up after this.
Okay. You are blonde in this picture.
I'm supposed to be blonde. I just have roots.
Okay.
Yeah, you could click on that.
Wait, I haven't seen this one yet.
I haven't seen that one.
That one's React.
Change view.
Yeah, you could probably put it in debug windows better. If you change the slug from pen to debug, then you don't get the iframe. There you go.
Ooh.
So click the this is
Oh, I love it. Sorry.
yeah, you just keep clicking the button.
Yeah. You have this in one of your talks, right?
Yeah, I talked about, I did some page transitions with Nuts and Vue. And
this is beautiful.
Oh, that small thingy that happens to go from one to the
Yeah.
other.
This is what I'm saying. I learned so much from your workshop. Just because, not just from a technical perspective, but Sarah and Val do a really great job. I turned to you because I'm still trying to get you to
I want to go. It's
because you guys do such an amazing job of teaching the philosophy and when to appropriately use animations, and that's what I really love about all of your work. Just it's not animation for animation's sake or animation for flashiness, but rather animation to really guide the user through a flow.
Yeah, and I think if you go back to the CodePen profile, so get rid of the default, just the S-Drasner from S-Drasner. There's a bunch of projects I've done that show different types of techniques, right? Some of them are so for this one,
I know my laptop is not happy.
So then if you do, you change them to different times. It shows like, because sometimes I work with people who live in different places, and it's hard to get to know like where they are in the world or what time it is there. So I made this so that I could kind of see. And also, like, I was realizing that there's, you know, a lot of people use moment.js to get the time that people are in a different place, because actually time is pretty complicated for the web, especially getting the daylight savings times for all of them. But there's a native method called toLocale timestring that does a similar thing. So you don't have to load that giant library to, I guess there's people really excited about toLocale timestring. Deleting moment.js. And yeah, you can get rid of that giant library and just use that instead. So that pen shows how to do that.
That's so cool. Can you? We're here right now. Oh, we're in San Francisco. And then, wait, which one's the most radical, like, Hong Kong? Ooh, Singapore for HJ. So it's 9. You are joining us at 9:30 a.m. Thank you for joining us at 9:30 a.m.
Shirley, that is not that early.
For Shirley it is.
It is very early for me. I wake up
Shirley
at 9:30.
answers me at like 2 in the morning, and then I ask her a question, and it's like, I'm not going to hear back from her.
No. I don't answer any messages until 11 a.m.
Yeah, I know. It's like when it's 5 p.m. at in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
I know that technically it's sort of normal waking person time, but I know I need not get anything from Shirley until a few hours later.
Speaking of Moment.js, this little part is with Moment.js.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But no, I don't. Well, this is actually for the good of the world. That like they don't, like my brain doesn't function until about 11 a.m. So for the sake of everybody else, I don't answer any messages until 11 a.m. when my brain starts functioning again.
Yeah.
No, that's actually really smart. I know. I really think that is actually really smart.
I mean, 11 part more like when your brain starts functioning.
Because like sometimes when you have like a bunch of people, like what's that?
Oh, the other question was they sent a link on a JS library and they want to know if you use it with SVG design.
What's the library called?
I'm sorry, it's a link there.
Rune.js? What? Rune.js.
I didn't see it. Oh.
Rune.js.
This link?
Rune.js. No, actually, I've not seen it before.
I guess that is.
Usually I've seen all of these, but this must be like a new one or something.
It's specifically aimed at graphic designers.
Oh, that's not me then.
Uses virtual DOM under the hood. Wait, like as in React virtual DOM?
Well,
No.
Under the hood. What's the examples? Oh, right. They should have.
I guess it's
small
to draw things with SVG, but yeah, I think like if I was going to draw something with SVG, I'd probably just draw it by spinning things up.
Oh, yeah.
Like making canvas or SVG. Yeah.
So this is supposed to be Canvas or SVG? So this is
SVG.
Okay.
Although that seems like quite a lot of lines to make.
Actually, this is more code to make the polygon than it is to just use SVG and JavaScript. Yeah, I guess none of us have ever heard of it. No. I'm usually pretty bad at keeping up with libraries.
Yeah, I usually play around with stuff, but seems like something maybe I wouldn't use.
Maybe it's new?
I typically have the issue that once I'm happy with something, I can stick with that forever. I have that with breakfast. I'm eating the same breakfast. I'm eating the same breakfast the last 10 years.
What is it?
It's a bowl of all bran with a kiwi.
What? Oh, wow. Good thing we got the kiwi.
Yeah, I only changed before that since I can remember it was like a sandwich with chocolate sprinkles and something you don't have here with jam. Besides.
Yes.
Yes.
Makes it at the process. Sprinkles.
I made something like this
nice.
in Vue recently with a functional component. you can use functional components to kind of make render methods and rewrite the way that SVG is written, kind of like with like you could write your own commands and stuff. I just haven't made anything cool with it yet. as soon as I make something that like looks like anything other than star.
Right. It's more like say function star and draws a star and you give it like the central location radius or something.
I'm more like mapped it to like you say move like to start off the path and then did like 5 vertices and then figured out the math in the render.
I see.
So, but you could write it however you want. Like you could map anything to anything. So you could theoretically just rename all the curve commands so that they're human readable, or you could.
That is a good one.
Yeah, that's
human readable SVG curve command.
Yeah. It'd be longer.
I want to hear more about Vue.
Oh yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I love Vue.
Wait, can I tell you my favorite thing I've ever heard, which was like who was it that brought it up? Apparently for Valentine's Day somebody tweeted at you. Yeah.
Oh, it was Brian Holt.
Oh, is it Brian?
Find you someone who looks at you like Sarah looks at you.
So if you guys haven't seen this, this is Sarah's introduction to Vue on Frontend Masters, and I'm advertising this because we both love Frontend Masters.
Yeah, Shirley did a Frontend Masters too. You can't just show them mine. God. Frontend Masters. This is a new site for Frontend Masters too. They did a great job. Okay, so let's go to courses, and then
check out Sarah's Vue one.
And then there's Shirley, which is D3. Here we go.
Yeah, so mine's that one. If you want to learn D3.
She did an amazing job, and it was really, really wonderful. So you should definitely check this out, especially because she literally is like a front-end master in D3. So it's not even like false advertising. It's real, true thing.
I really want to go back and do an intermediate/advanced.
You should.
I want to watch that. I think like Mark is being like very like I think he's trying to be put a professional distance when it comes to a professional thing. Like he's really awesome when it's like being friends, but then I think he's like not telling me whether or not I'm like allowed to come back to like kind of put that little bit of like a favoritism.
But you are his favorite.
I know. I am his favorite. Well, no, that's not true. Ian is one of his favorites. He
one
really
of his favorites, but I
Ian.
think he likes Shirley the best.
No.
He was like, I was over there. He was like, I love Shirley.
So yeah, I think me and Ian are equally on the favorites in the favorites pool. I think Mark probably likes me like probably all of us.
Well, there's a special place in his heart for Shirley, for sure. She's really good to drink with, that's why.
Yes. Yeah, actually. We're
out of...
Can you hand us?
No problem.
Wait.
Oh.
Glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, real glasses. Oh, I didn't talk about Vue. Sorry.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
What do you like about Vue?
I liked... what I like about Vue is that it's extremely powerful. It's extraordinarily powerful. But it doesn't make you feel like you're being pandered or you're like being talked down to at any point. I kind of likened it during the course to working with an iPhone. Like, you know what you have is a really sophisticated piece of machinery that, best engineers in the world work with, but it's simple to pick up and simple to use. So,
but what is it really powerful in?
It's really good at a lot of the things that you're kind of used to, like JavaScript frameworks. So there's MVCs that are like Angular that have all model view controller. Vue and React are both the V of model view controller. So they are both really, really awesome at managing state for an application. So if you're used to something like jQuery, you'd be checking the DOM constantly in order to update something. You'd like update something in the DOM, and the DOM kind of stores all the state for you.
Yes.
Vue and React both hold the state themselves. So that's really nice. Vue is different from React in that it's reactive. I know that sounds really confusing because you think that React is reactive, but it's not. Vue is reactive, and it also allows you access to their whole reactivity system. So you can stay kind of, in a very simple area of Vue, or they give you access to creating custom directives, to watchers, which actually allow you access to like peek inside of the reactivity system and allows you some JavaScript hooks to work with it. So it's really good at manipulating state and updating things based on those state changes. D3 is also actually reactive. And so those kind of hooks that things give you, I think Mike Bostock gave a really great talk that you guys saw.
Like say reactive in what sense?
Reactive in what sense? Reactive is a type of programming. So it's kind of based on the idea of streams, that things are continually updated. And I think that now I'm talking for a really long time.
No. Yeah, you're answering. Yeah.
I think the example that people use a lot that is actually a pretty good example is if you ever work with an Excel sheet and you have like a few cells and you ask them to do a sum in another cell, that sum is going to give you a number. But if you update something within that stream, it will automatically update the end. So the way that Mike Bostock, what the quote that he said that I think captured it really well was, reactive programming allows you to code asynchronous code in a way that feels synchronous. So you're not having to manually or imperatively write all of these, this does this at this time, then do this, then do this, then do this. When you're working with reactive programming, you're allowed these hooks into when the data is changing and things can kind of automatically update in a more declarative sense. So those things are all things that make Vue really exciting for me, especially because working with that for data visualization or for animation or for just making giant applications is really, really helpful.
Yeah. That was a really, I don't know what to say. Actually, that, if you had just told me that, I would have been sold from the beginning. But yeah, no, I can totally see why that makes it actually a lot easier for things like data visualization, where I think I haven't really had the need yet because I don't really do that much of like too much live data coming in. But I can totally see why that'd be really great for like streaming data coming in. And you and Sean Larkin are like, I just from both sides here of you. and let me also just say that I've been staring at this. So Sarah and I will be in Bratislava together.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And let me just say this right here, where I'm on like, I am sandwiched between you and Evan.
And Richard Feldman too. He's amazing.
Yeah, actually,
I don't know if you know him. He does a lot of stuff with Elm, and he's also like the coolest guy ever. If you're out there, Richard, hi, you're the coolest.
I do not know.
Oh well, you will know.
Why?
He's great.
But I was just gonna say, between you and Evan, I feel like this is Reactive's way of telling me to go learn Vue before the conference.
Yeah, we're just making a big V like around your face.
Yeah, that's true. I'm being told.
Yeah, because you prefer Vue over React, right?
I wouldn't. I try not to say things like.
Sorry. I will not. I will take that back.
I still work with React, and I still really enjoy React, and I also think that React has a huge ecosystem and a really, really wonderful community. So I still work with React in a lot of projects. I also really like Vue, and I think that part of the thing that I think is interesting is that not as many people know about Vue, I think, at this point, partially because it's younger.
Yeah.
So it kind of needs to be talked about, I think, because I think it's just like an incredible tool and is like overlooked. Yeah, I don't want to say like any preferences there or anything. Like I was completely biased towards JS over CSS before. I don't think that I feel quite that way, but I really love Vue.
Is there something else I can do?
Someone said Bacon.js is a nice reactive library too.
Bacon.js.
All right, let's go look.
Wait, and then let me
I heard
also do.
something else.
We refilled our wine glasses earlier, so
Oh, we should-
with proper wine glasses. So
Oh,
cheers!
Cheers!
Thank you, Shumei. By the way, Shumei is like unsung hero of D3 Uncom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you for putting it on. We
It's been
appreciate it.
smoother with this, I hope.
What?
It's been smoother with this, I hope.
Yeah, no, thank you for
Yeah. Different
Yes.
atmosphere.
Bacon.js.
Bacon.js. I haven't heard of this.
No.
There's like a new JavaScript framework out every
I
day.
know. Small functional reactive programming library. Event spaghetti to clean and declarative feng shui bacon. I feel like I just like the what's the word? The copy for this.
I like the logo.
Oh, and the logo is
It's
great.
pretty sweet.
Transform your data with map and filter. Combine your data with merge and combine. Switch to heavier weapons and wield flat map and combine template like a boss. It's the underscore of events. Too bad the symbol tilde is not allowed in JavaScript. Yeah, never seen this, but
All right.
interesting.
Thank you, whoever said that. We'll have to go check it out.
Yeah,
There's so many of these .js things. It's
I know.
okay.
Oh, this
But
is
you really
for-
should check out
Out of the things that have come in, I guess.
Have you ever
views.
heard of D3Chats?
I've never heard of it. It sounds. Is it Diablo?
Oh yeah, no, yes. It's like you can play it in the browser, right?
Ah.
Did Mike ever say what D3 stands for?
Yes, data-driven documents.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Now that's recorded forever. That's the dumbest question.
We can bleep it out somehow, maybe. I'll go figure out how to.
It would be really funny because people are like, she's really swearing a lot. Like, oh my god.
Oh, you know what?
Does D3 stand for
Actually, that'd be fun. You have to guess. You have to guess like what it stands for. Actually, in Twitch, you can like make clips. Like people can like just clip like a 30 seconds to like be
good.
featured.
Great. That's awesome.
Any interesting comments from
Yeah, one person say feng shui bacon.
Feng Shui Bacon
Yeah, I
is
saw
great.
it. It
Wait,
says-
this is. I think this
On
was in
previous
the
page, it says something
yeah.
like
turns your
Declarative.
event. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, like declarative feng shui bacon. It's like I get an image in my head of how feng shui bacon is like.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty expressive.
I actually more want to know who wrote this copy because it's great.
I'm actually surprised that they could get Bacon.js because, like, wouldn't you assume that someone already had it?
Bacon.js?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's baconjs.github. Oh, you mean like just on GitHub? That,
Yeah, like just
that handle.
yeah, because like, wouldn't there be like thousands of libraries that already tried to? do
What if
Bacon?
they like the moment that GitHub was established, they went and claimed Bacon.js and was like, someday I'm gonna put this into use.
That's probably a pretty good one. I think I
There
have
are
like
people-
Banana or at
Banana
one point I
JS?
had Banana.js just because
Just-
I thought
Yeah.
someday
Once
someday
make something.
banana.
The view.
And it's
the-
inevitable.
All right, wait for a Banana.js to come out, you guys.
We have a question for Shirley.
Oh yes.
Curious as to why you chose to freelance over working at a company.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one. So actually, all three of us can and should answer that one, because Nadieh, who's out of the frame, is currently full-time freelancing, and Sarah, who's also purposefully out of the frame, was freelancing for the past year, and then just joined Microsoft. So where to start? Well, the easiest answer, I think, to why I prefer freelancing over a full-time job is because of the free part of freelancing, the freedom of being able to choose whatever projects I want and whatever clients I want, and choose when to work and when not to work, and like instead, go to a conference randomly because I can, and then travel for like a week or two afterwards because I can. And I think that's the easiest answer. And also I also realized after I quit to freelance for full time that I really apparently don't like being told what to do, and
You didn't realize
You and
that
I
on
have
the
this in
job?
common.
I didn't realize this until I quit, that one of the reasons why I wasn't like 100% happy is because I really don't like being told what to do when and how, and being able to just kind of like
Sleep in.
not wake up until okay, let's be real. I was waking up at 9 a.m. or 9:30, like even when I had a full-time job, and like getting
How can
Yeah, I was doing that.
yeah, I mean getting into the office around 10:30 or 11.
How is that?
No, it's San
It's
Francisco.
yeah, it's a
Everybody-
tech
That's not
thing.
A funny comment from Elijah. Shirley actually agreed to come work at Netflix. That's what I heard.
Is that so? Yeah, we'll work on the compensation and benefit package, Elijah. Let's talk that out.
Look at she spins her wine. Like,
Yeah,
Let's
let's work that out. The freelancing life, okay, also it is hard though. It is really stressful at times. When I started, like I was broke for like a good 6 months, and I was digging into savings, and the only reason why I was able to do it was because I'm fortunate enough to like I'm like fortunate enough to have a good amount in savings. But if I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to survive, because I told Nadieh this, but in the 6 months, the latter 6 months of 2016, I made $20K in freelancing money, and I was digging ridiculously into my savings, and it was really stressful because I didn't know I was gonna get any projects or if anybody even cared to work with me. And thankfully we did data sketches. Thankfully we did, or I did Hamilton, and thankfully like Google decided to sign us up. And then now it's still kind of hard. Like I think in general, like people are kind of worried about freelancing and like and companies and money, but fortunately it's going a little bit better. And I keep saying that I don't want to go back to full-time unless I am desperately broke, or if there's like a really, really, really great opportunity at a company. But I think being able to do what I want when I want. This is a big one. Not being scheduled meetings that I don't want to be in.
Yes.
That
But
one
you
is
have
huge.
that in freelancing as well.
Really? I just don't take meetings.
I mean,
don't
there
want-
are jobs that give you flexibility, though. I mean, I felt the same way. I didn't think that I was ever going to not be a freelancer again, especially because business was kind of booming, which was nice. And I think that that's because of things like what you're saying. OSS projects really help with allow people to see not just like what you do, but the kind of work that you're into. Like, you know, there's stuff that I did for a lot of big companies that is not, people don't know that I did for 10 years because they're not open source, because I'm not going to like build a giant component library on my own on the weekends. Maybe I will, but maybe not. You know, people started hiring me for the stuff that I was doing for fun, which was really awesome. So I think if you are planning on being a freelancer, that kind of data sketches, Hamilton, my code pen, those kind of things that are open source that people can see and be like the next time they want a data viz, they're like, hey, Nadieh, like maybe you want to make something for me. Hey, Shirley, you want to make something for me? Is really valuable. But like Microsoft, the job for Microsoft was probably the only one I would have taken. I had to turn down some really great projects to work on that too. Like I was supposed to make animated PWAs with Adi Osmani and Google, or like there was progressive web apps, and you know, there's a bunch of other projects that I really wanted to do, but Microsoft has a really good thing going right now, and I think like they're really turning their tide towards like making tools that come to where developers are at, and like the ability to like go and work on these kind of crazy cool things that they were showing me, and still having some freedom was like, wow, okay, this is like maybe my dream job. So yeah, I think it's possible to get both. I don't know, what do you think, Nadieh?
I find it difficult. So the first 4 years after I graduated, I worked at a consultancy, and it was pretty great. And I decided to change though after some time, just to have the change as well, and some other reasons. But that was for one company, and I noticed that I was missing the diversity, and I felt after a year, I felt that I really needed to get that back, but I didn't want to go back to a consultancy. I wanted to have more say indeed about what kinds of projects I was doing, because I was very particular about what really made me enthusiastic. Data sketches was making me extremely enthusiastic, so I felt...
Wait, okay, hold on. I need to say this again. I claim 100% credit for Nadieh going freelance. I'm sure I made her extremely jealous talking about all of the freedom I had.
Yes, kidding. Exactly, yes. You and like maybe 4 other people.
Sarah.
You were a freelancer for a while before Nadieh was? Was that the time?
I quit a full-time job in June or July.
Yeah.
And last year, and then I went on vacation for a little bit, and then I started freelancing.
Yeah.
And then I just kept on talking about how great it was. Except I was really stressed out.
No, I was. No, your experience was definitely helping.
I'm just kidding. You don't have to give me any
But then last November we were approached by Google, and I felt like I am not going to let that go by. I'm going to say yes, which means I need to go freelance. That was sort of the final. It was going on in my mind for a while, but that was the last drop.
Let me also show some of the like really cool things you got to do. How do I search up your Scientific American?
That's probably not gonna do it. Baby birth, Scientific American baby births.
Yeah, but like just.
Yeah. Nadieh makes the
yeah. Just like having the opportunity to, I don't know. I think Nadieh just also makes like data look much more beautiful than it is. In a good way.
Anyone ever has before.
Yeah, it's just like, how do you make C-sections look this great? You go to Nadieh. Where is the full poster?
Well, that one's in the magazine, I guess. So
is it on your website? Does it look like there's people that want to say things?
No, yeah, it's not.
Is there snarky comments from Elijah?
No. Same person who was asking about freelancing. Doesn't freelancing require a lot of non-tech work before actual tech coding?
Yes.
And then,
definitely.
And then also to find clients and such. What are your thoughts about it?
Oh, it's
3 months.
Oh, that's right. 2 months. Oh, I'm sorry.
I can do it next week.
And then also asked, and the second person also asked, how difficult was it to find your first client?
So, I think there was the question about the upfront work, and we all were like yes, and that's kind of like so I think all of us are fortunate enough that because of our open source projects and our portfolio, we often get approached by companies that want something like what we've done. So that's really nice. Like, I don't know if this is different for you guys, but like I get, I think most, if not all of the clients I've been able to work with have approached me rather than the other way around. There is the upfront cost of, even if they've emailed me, doesn't mean that it will become a contract. Lots of things have to happen. Our timelines need to align. What the budgets need to align. What they're looking for need to be like what I can actually provide.
What you want to provide.
Or what I want to provide. So recently, I've been thinking more about the kind of projects that I want to take, that I can put into my portfolio, or that I can do to like kind of like, you know, get better with my skill set. and that sometimes might not align with what the client is looking for. So there's a lot of like kind of back and forth that happens before we even sign the contract. And there's also the reading the contract.
Oh god, reading a contract and discussing with the legal department is.
You know, a good friend of mine who I won't name because I don't know if they want to be attached to me saying this, gave me the best piece of advice about it, which was, and this was the most true advice I've ever heard, and it definitely ended up being true. If the negotiations for the contract take longer than 4 hours, you shouldn't take the contract.
Oh.
It's going to be a giant pain, and your communication styles probably aren't jiving with each other.
Oh,
And that's why it's taking too long to sign. So
that's a great one.
It's been so true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've definitely signed contracts with people and done work with people that it took longer than 4 hours to do stuff, but they haven't been as successful of contracts as the ones that went quicker.
A lot smoother, yeah.
Because I think we just had the ones that went quicker, we just understood each other better off the bat, and that was true.
Yes,
that's
through.
fair.
I don't know if that's true with you guys.
I once had a job for 4 hours. It took me about 8 hours to get signed into their system. They had like 2 middlemen in between them and actually me, and I had to sign contracts on both of those. So in the end, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why did I do this? This is not worth it.
Yeah. And then there's other contracts where it's like your bread and butter for 3 months. You work super well together. I worked with this company called Workflow earlier this year, which is a small company, and they were just awesome. Like the whole way, like everything was so smooth. And I had just come off of another contract where it wasn't so smooth, and I was like, this is great. I love this.
Oh yeah, we just came out of some meetings with the client, and it was kind of like that. Like there's just like alignment in terms of like what we want to build and what we're looking for, and we're just really excited. And we're actually like, we were excited before, and then like after this week we're like even more excited. And they were excited because they're like, oh my god, like this is the kind of stuff we can do, and we're like, yeah. So yeah, but I think when I first started, there was like a lot of like, what's the word? Like kind of not touch and go, but like experimentation. There was like a trial and error, where like I would get people either like when I first started freelancing, there would be people contacting me being like, oh, would you like to join us for full time. There's this is kicking in a little bit. And full time, and I'd be like, no, I've gone freelance, and they would be like, oh yeah, like maybe we can talk about freelance. And one of the things I really learned is that oftentimes when they don't have a specific need in mind, it goes absolutely nowhere. Like and back then I was charging even less, but as soon as they heard the figure, like they were like, nope, and they hightail out of there. So I had to learn the hard way that like they definitely need to have a project in mind, a budget in mind, a timeline in mind, and all of those stars have to align before a contract happens. I just actually had like one fall through because like they wanted something, we wanted to work together, but then they realized they were too busy to give me the time and the resources I needed to build what I did, and so I had to get pushed to next year, and it was very sad.
But I mean, that's part of it, right? It's that they have to kind of respect your time a little bit and understand that, like, you have, like, when your other obligations end and when it starts and, that kind of thing. Plus, like, understanding that, like, all the communication that's built into building the project is part of building the project, too. Like, stuff like that. But yeah, actually, like, if I was to give a piece of advice to people that are starting out, what I would say is get to know other people who do the same thing as you. And I know that sounds like contrary advice, but inevitably you're going to reach a point where you either need work and they have some spillover and they can give you some work, or you have some spillover and you can't address all of the clients and you need to give your client somebody to work with in that time. So if you have a good relationship with the people who make similar things to you, that's invaluable for both of you. That's a really good symbiotic relationship. Aside from like I hit a snag. What do you think? Kind of, like, or I'm so excited about this project. Just look at it. Nobody cares but you. That kind of stuff. But like, I really do think like, I have a good relationship with some people who do similar work, and like, I love sharing work with them and recommending them.
That's a really great piece of advice. I've never really believed in the whole competition, like fierce competition kind of thing. Like I've always been like, I think in general the D3 database community is just so friendly, and I mean, kind of like you're super friendly, and like I think everybody that I kind of meet are so friendly, and just like kind of being like, yeah, it's like what you said. It's always better to be friends and be good to each other than be like, no, this is my domain.
Right.
Like, no, like, no, Nadieh, go away. You're my competition.
Yeah, we think that like if you did that with Nadieh or I did that with Val, like actually we probably would have made less money.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Because we bring each other. So like
we bring each other jobs.
Yeah, like,
together.
Yeah, actually, we were just joking about this yesterday at a happy hour, where we were talking about how I got us a job, and then Nadieh got us a job, and then I just got us another job, and then like at this point we're just like, maybe we should just come up with a name and then like put a website together and then like
data sketches.
Data sketches is like a little bit more like casual and it's fun and experimentary. Like maybe we should come up with like a like actually professional sounding name. And then we were like coming up with like really bad names yesterday. Sweet and buttery.
That was just no. That was just her. That was just her. That was your name for I don't even know. That was your when you ever said your expert service name.
Please make that into a soundbite if you're watching internet. Like,
I'm taking my hands off of this.
No, there's a whole story behind this that you're not kidding. I'm sorry I said that. The backstory is that
I don't know. It's like we could
Are
change
there
the
any
topic.
questions?
Yes.
Where? Really?
Sarah, do you think there's some
Yes,
really
Sarah,
basic?
please take over.
Some really basic SVG techniques that are missing in database practice?
Nadieh actually does a good job of covering some of those, actually. I think we were just talking earlier about how she took a bunch of things that were happening in like kind of creative coding SVGs and started applying them to DataViz. Like one of them was the GUI technique that Lucas Weber first did. And she has this visual cinnamon article that
I'm in the archive.
No, you're not in the archive.
I'm not in the archive. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know your website like you know your website.
I know my website. You mean the GUI one specifically? I don't actually
But that's okay. I mean, I think that like even just showing those, like this, I think your article was the first time that I saw the database community kind of embracing some of the more creative coding things that I think people all over code kind of trying out and doing. So that was really refreshing to see because it's available to you. There's definitely a bunch of other ones that I'm going to get into more in the talk tomorrow.
Nice.
D3 Unconf about data in motion. I tend to be really excited about SVG and animation at the same time, but I know Nadieh does a lot of, and Shirley do a lot of, no, not me, I don't like creative data
code,
visualizations. Combine a lot of creativity with data visualization.
Actually, this is how kind of the origin story of the data sketches is that I had just quit my job and I was like going through Nadieh's tutorials from like her OpenVis talk and then like going through like all the like blur effects, like the motion blurs and the GUIs and all of that, and I started talking to Nadieh about like, I'm like, oh, this one was great, but I have like questions on this one, and that's how we started talking, and then that's how data sketches was born.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nadieh pretty much like inspired me to be more creative in my coding. Sorry. I think
Smooth
ever
and
since
buttery.
no. If you're gonna make fun of me, you have to do it right. It's sweet and buttery.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sweet and
I
buttery.
think after that, I
sorry.
think things have just gone downhill for
Yeah,
me. I
yeah.
think maybe you guys should just take over.
Sweet and buttery coding techniques.
Yeah, I'm sorry for whoever's still watching.
Probably claimed that URL. I don't.
You know what? Actually, I wonder if it's claimed.
I wonder if it's not what's gonna be.
It's
Oh
not.
Ah, there we go.
Well, Nadieh.
This is great.
No, this is like your alter
This is
ego,
like-
right?
This is like Banana.js.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make Banana.js and you guys make sweetandbuttery.com. This has been productive. I feel like we've gotten a lot of time.
This is a very productive. Yeah. Shimay's just there being like.
Well, someone wanted to step back and ask you guys why data, why data viz, why
Ah.
not something else?
Oh, this is great.
It's like why apples, why pears, why not something else? I guess.
You guys wanna talk about this first, or I feel like I should.
Yeah, not
Why do you know
You've spoken the
More philosophical.
Yeah.
I'm typically the person that sort of sits back and watches other people. I'm easy to go out of the conversation when two people
Obviously,
are
I
just
should
having
not
a
be
good
doing
time.
I should not be doing any of the talking anymore. So you talk.
No, I'm not that good of a talker. Data
That's
visuals-
not true at all. Who told you that?
So data visualization, I think, for it on top of data is really needed because people are really visual beings. So if you want to understand trends and patterns and see them in the data, we don't see that from seeing a spreadsheet or seeing a table of numbers. We see that by making that into a line chart or a bar chart. So if you have data, database is it's not just it's a necessity, I find, if we actually want to make sense of that, if we want to do something with it, if we want to act on it. Why data? I think data is needed to understand the world, to improve, to see how things are going. I mean, we can only keep so many things in our head, and really the things that we keep in our head are data that are not written out yet. So data is everywhere where you go. Data is the telephone number you know of your mother, your
Sure.
father, your person. The world is data.
I don't keep that
pervasive.
in my head anymore.
I do still.
That used to be in my head.
Yeah, it's still in my head. But data is how we improve, I find, with the use of data. And sometimes you have accidents that help you improve, but generally I think data does a good job. So I like data and database.
You should go next. We'll go.
Well, the third part of the question, why didn't you go into something else?
Well, I tried astronomy for a bit. No, it's where my passion was, or where I felt that I got most enthusiasm out of my work. I could code for hours trying to turn data into something insightful that other people that did not have 3 weeks of one-on-one with the data set could understand the things that I had found, or my team the team I was in had found. So.
I feel like we should also say that like we're relatively young in our career, and this is something like I don't want to speak for you or for Sarah, but like it's something that I'm very, very, very fascinated with and love right now in this current moment. But like it's not something that I mean I hope I live to 100, but it's not something that I want to be like. Well, maybe not 100 because I'd be really old and rickety, but like maybe like 80 or so. But like it's not something that I want to be doing for like, you know, the next 40, 50 years or so. But for the time being, it's the thing that's like really, really captured my attention because like growing up, I actually did a lot of art. So I know this is true for Sarah also, but I drew, I painted for 14 years of my life, and then that was a really huge part of me. And then when I went to college, I kind of didn't do any of it. And then also growing up, math was also a huge part of what I loved. And then when I got into college, like I discovered coding, and that immediately made sense for me because as a kid I loved building stuff, I loved making stuff. So I grew up in Japan where like their education is like both great and somewhat weird. Like I can ride a unicycle because of their physical education program.
Wow.
And I can like anyways. And then one of the things is that like there was a lot of like hands-on building. So like building, like we did woodwork and like And so all of that meant that like all of these kind of, building data visualizations, making something out of almost nothing other than data, they're all things that kind of all came together to like be something I really enjoy. And when I found coding, it kind of reminded me of when I used to build and make things with my hands. And when it comes to data, I just kind of love the numbers aspect. I love finding kind of those little like details in the data that like tell me. I especially love relationship data, like kind of like Facebook and like those kind of like network data. I really love learning about people and how people behave and how they think and those kind of things all and showing that they're also there. I just currently think it's really really fun. That doesn't mean that I don't want to try other things. Like I want to try other technologies. I want to try out generative art. I want to learn like more. I want to get back to the whole building again and like do things in the 3D. Whether that's like with Arduinos or whether that means 3D printing or there are so many things I want to learn and try. And it just so happens that currently at this moment, data viz is the thing for me.
I feel like every time you stop and just look at me, you're like. I think I'm just a naturally curious person. I think like I don't really have any kind of constant in my life except for being curious. So I switch gears. I try new things, and yeah, I think data visualization is kind of like a natural synthesis for me of a couple of different things that I really enjoy, all of which are kind of false dichotomies. Like people put them into two categories and they don't necessarily need to be so far away. I think people think of like STEM, kind of like science and math and technology as being very far away from art and creative practices, and I don't really actually think that that's true, because I think that there's a lot of, when you do kind of creative practices, there's a lot of technical implications and a lot of technique, and most of it is just trying to figure out how to get the process done so that the thing is shown. And then I think with technology, there's a lot of creativity and programming. I mean, if you think about like something like, I have a talk called Creativity and Programming where I go through like, there's so many different ways to express something that's functionally equivalent, right? Like if you're looking at like the normal interview question of FizzBuzz, there's, ways of expressing that that's just like if, else, like that kind of thing. That's, many, many lines of code. And then there's one that's like, I think it's something like 53 characters long. And they're functionally equivalent. They print out the same thing, but one of them is legible and maybe something that you'd feel like you could update in 2 years and still understand, but it's also like more verbose. And then the other one is like very succinct, but like you may never understand that code again. And like, there's different ways of expressing the same thing, and because of that, there's creativity involved. And so I think all of these things have just always been really interesting to me. I was a math tutor in high school, and I was also into drawing and stuff. I did auto classes, and I also made props for theater plays and stuff because I was a nerd. So I just think that there's like a lot of kind of things that people don't open their minds to, that it's more fun if you do. I also started my career as a scientific illustrator, so as a scientific illustrator and a medical illustrator, your job is primarily to express data to other people, especially because your value is to show it in a way that people can digest. Like if for medical illustration, a lot of times it was showing something that was kind of gross in a way that like isn't gross. Like medical stuff is like the insides of bodies and stuff like that. Like obviously Cell and Nature and those kind of magazines don't want to publish something that looks like that. So some of the challenge for medical illustration was just to make something not appear like really, really disgusting. Scientific illustration was mostly like the challenge at the time was more along the lines of that cameras had apertures, that some, when you took pictures of smaller specimens, at some point became blurry. So the challenges now are much different, right? The challenges now are like, HTTP requests and like making sure that it can go onto a website without making things slow, or like the amount of DOM nodes that you can load before things start to tank, and things like that. So it's the same too. It's like different, it's literally different, but also completely the same.
Hi. Speaking. Wait.
Yay!
It's Ian.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah,
I have the pleasure of interviewing our two keynote speakers
this is amazing.
and having Shirley moderate for us. I'm
Nice.
so happy right now.
That's awesome. Well, what am I doing here?
No,
Yeah.
this
This is an opportunity here.
Actually, I think we should wrap up soon because we have our dinner res at 7:30. Is there any more questions we should address, or are there just funny comments that are going on?
Wait, but which of you is sweet and which of you is buttery? I was keeping it down so hard. It's like, I'll tell them after the serious talk.
You guys trying to find out a name?
That's it's what we were talking about yesterday. The bad name that I said. I was like, never mind. It is available. That's up to you guys to decide.
The other one, it's more of a work question.
That's good.
This person currently works with AngularJS in a .NET environment, helping users view tasks and financial data related to project management. Do you have any recommendations for data viz libraries that work well with AngularJS?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't work with Angular that much, but Angular and D3 play pretty well together, especially because of the ability to work with directives. So yeah, I mean, I actually don't think that you have to go very far in order to find that. Of course, it depends on the kind of charts and graphs that you need to make. If you need to just make like, I mean, you guys can also answer to this, but like if you just need to make small charts and graphs, you might not even need a library because of the directives, because of the way that you can kind of spin things up with just SVG elements. And the way that it binds to data, that's a lot of what the D3 is doing for you anyway. But if you want to make something a little bit more interesting, of course, the ability to like make an axis on the fly is really helpful. Scaling the data is really helpful.
I have nothing to say. I don't use Angular.
Yeah, I don't use Angular, but I think Sarah pretty much said everything. I've worked with Angular, I think once or twice, or I put D3 into Angular once or twice for clients, and it was really not that hard. And I'm sure if D3 is not something that you want, there's all of those chart libraries on top that I'm sure works really well with Angular. So yeah, and just like Sarah said, if what you want is pretty straightforward, you don't even need D3, and you can just do SVG straight in there.
He said like cost rundowns and cost distributions. He just added that.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, we do often get like people telling us like we have this situation. Tell us which chart to use. And typically it takes a little bit of time before we can answer what's a good chart, because we need to understand the data and the goals. So.
And what you want to communicate.
Yes, what you communicate.
Hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shimei, for you want to come over?
Yeah, come back over.
Oh, no, drink more wine.
I'm
I'm filling in.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you so much for helping, and then thank you so much for joining, and I hope that was informative in between all of the giggling and all of the, I don't even know what we really talked about.
No, I feel like it's mostly like Gal
Gadot, in between all the Gal Gadot, and then Mila Kunis, and then Chris Pine. Who else? I have a lot of Asian celebrity crushes. If anybody out there knows who Daniel Henney is, I've adored him since my teenage years. So
Good to know.
yeah, he's gorgeous.
That's why I'm curious to learn about the Asian celebrity crushes. that I should
Celebrity
have.
crushes, yeah. I'll show you after. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the questions, and I hope it was a great time for you. Bye-bye.
Bye.